Hey team, it's Les. Thanks for joining me today for another episode of CHOT Teachable Moments. We are continuing today in the series we call The Experience, how to positively affect quality scores and deliver superior care, where we are talking about the CAHPS questions, right? So today's question is question 26. Did the hospice team give you as much information as you wanted about what to expect while your family member was dying? And so this is a little bit of a complicated question, right? Because now we're talking about the perception of the family member, right? That's answering the survey as far as whether they got the information they felt they needed and wanted as their loved one was dying, right? So let's think about this whole time and someone becomes what we call actively dying. That's really what they're going to think of when they see this question during that time period. And as we all know, for families, and caregivers, this is a very emotional time. So we have to kind of tread carefully here. So the answers that they're given that they can select are yes, definitely, yes, somewhat, and no. And so we always want that answer to be yes, definitely. That's where we get credit for this question, right? So there's three things that we're going to talk about that we can possibly do to try to affect this in a positive way. First of all, is find out what they want to know. Again, read the question. Did the hospice team give you as much information as you wanted? And so, if you've been in hospice long enough, you'll know some people want all the information they can get, right? They want to know everything that could possibly happen. They want to know, and for us to identify and educate them on everything that they are seeing. And there's some families that don't really want to know all of that information, right? They may just want to know a good timeline. Like, can we get, and this is the classic question, right? That we all get, how long do they have left, right? And while there's no way we can possibly know that exact moment, exact day that they're going to die, there are all these signs and symptoms that we know about and we see that we educate on that can narrow that down. So when people would ask me that question, I would give them information with the caveat of I know that anything can happen. I've seen patients that didn't eat or drink for way longer than I would have expected them not to. And I've told the families we're usually down to hours or days. Sometimes I'll tell them we're down to days to weeks or weeks to months, right? And if we put it in those bigger time frames, then a lot of times we have more leeway in the family member's mind. Remember, this is all about the perception of the family member that's answering this survey. But find out what they want to know, right? What information do they want to know? How much do they want to know? So delve into that, and then we can approach answering those questions for them. The second thing is when we do provide education at this point in the journey, educate in plain terms. Really, we should be doing this with all education we deliver to family members and patients. Make it simple, keep it in plain terms. We don't have to use medical terms like what we're seeing is dyspnea and compensation. If we're going to use those terms, then we have to be prepared to also break those down into plain terms so that the family members, the lay people that aren't medical professionals, can understand those, right? And then finally, normalize and validate. And what I mean here is normalize the experience, right? The things that we see, the changes that happen to a person's body as they're dying do not look normal, right? They don't look normal. It's not something we would normally expect to see an average, healthy, participating in life human being to look like, right? It's very drastically different. Breathing patterns change, color changes, all these things happen. Sometimes we see modeling where the skin will turn blue and the circulation is changing. Those aren't normal things that families normally see with their loved one, right? So we have to normalize that and say, this isn't normal for a regular person who's just walking that regular healthcare continuum, right? But it is normal for patients that are actively dying. And unfortunately, Mrs. Smith, Mr. Smith is actively dying now, and we're probably down to hours to days. So there's a way to educate, right? And to normalize what they're seeing, and then also validate, right? Normalize and validate what we're seeing and what's going on with that patient, break it down so that they can understand what's happening, but also let's think about their feelings, right? Their emotions, right? How they are coping. We need to normalize and validate their feelings. A lot of times, when we get to the end of life with a patient, what we need to realize is the family is already starting the grieving process. With some families, some loved ones, they've started that grieving process sometimes weeks, months, even years ahead of time if they've got dementias or those slow progressing diseases. But we need to delve into how they're feeling, how they're coping, how they are walking alongside their loved one on this journey, and normalize and validate those feelings. So, those are just some ways that we may be able to positively affect the answer to this particular question. Let's jump into fruits of your labor. These are the positive comments that we get, and we got some great ones today. So, we're going to start with Waco. Everyone was so nice and very passionate for the short time my mother was in their care. I would especially like to thank Leah Outlaw for her care and concern the day of and after my mom had passed. She would keep me informed during the process. I knew my loved one was in good hands. Perfect tie in to today's topic, right? And today's question, right? So, Leah, the loved one, the family member here expressed her appreciation for Leah's care and concern the day of the death and the day after the death. So we know that Leah was in contact, right? And then Leah kept me informed during the process. That's exactly what we're talking about, keeping someone informed and educated and normalizing and validating. I knew my loved one was in good hands. So kudos, Leah. Kudos to the entire Waco team. Well done. Fort Worth, every person from your facility was excellent. Everyone gave me the knowledge, patience, and courage to handle the most stressful time of my life. I have the most respect and I'm thankful for each of you. Thank you for everything y'all do. And just like I say every time I end one of these videos, thank you for everything you do, right? Thank you, Fort Worth. Well done. Kudos to you. And then the Cleveland team. We had just a week on hospice before my husband died. We were in shock at how fast he went. Hospice people moved in and helped us all the way. We cannot say enough about the Cleburne team. The nurse that came out and stayed with us was amazing. I can't remember her name at this moment, but she was amazing and helped me and our children say goodbye to our very precious husband and father. In no way can I express it enough to the whole team. Awesome people. Thank you. Well done, Cleburne team. Kudos to the entire team there. And then finally, Hospice House of Hughley. Even though my father was on hospice care for only a few hours, the hospice team at Hughley House in Burleson, Texas were awesome. My father received so much respect and dignity from the moment he was transported to his last breath. It was very comforting and reassuring to know he was in good hands. Leslie was an angel. She made the whole transitioning process very smooth and comfortable. She guided me the whole time on the end of life processes and signs and what to expect. Leslie allowed my father and I to have good quality time together and checked on us periodically. This was very comforting and allowed me to express my love, appreciation, and gratitude to my father in private. Thank you, Hughley Hospice House team. What more can we say, right? Kudos to you, Leslie. Well done, Hospice House of Hughley. Well done to everyone in all of our teams. Thank you so much for everything you do every day for our patients, our families and caregivers, our facility partners, and one another. Talk to you later. Y'all have a great day.